the report, but I want to ask you some broader questions about the Russia narrative, because you've been talking a lot about the new Cold War, the increased risk of nuclear conflagration.
Yeah.
And you had a tweet not long ago where you said, this tweet made me squeal with glee. I'm just going to admit it, because it's something that I've been saying for I'm going to curse, but it's such a long time.
Yeah.
And I haven't really seen it reflected by anybody of any national prominence in the political realm. So I'm just going to quote it. Short-sighted politicians and media pundits who have spent the last 2 years accusing Trump as a Putin puppet have brought us an expensive new Cold War and arms race. How? Because Trump now does everything he can to prove he's not a Putin puppet, even if it brings us closer to nuclear war. So those media pundits and the short-sighted politicians have been overwhelmingly Democrats.
Yeah.
They have whipped up a frenzy among their voter base. I've seen it firsthand when I go to town hall meetings with people like waving, Soviet iconography and like Trump is a traitor and stuff to that effect. And there's been no mind paid to how that's actually rationing up tensions geopolitically.
Exactly.
So to what extent do you attribute blame to Democrats in particular? And you're running as a Democrat.
Yeah.
I'm transparent with my readers and listeners. I'm a registered Democrat. How do you characterize to what extent you allocate blame to liberals and Democrats in particular?
This is what happens when you put politics over the interests of the people. Our peace, our efforts to pursue peace and security, is this heightened rhetoric that has pushed us to this point where we are seeing increased tensions, where we are seeing Trump reacting to all of these accusations that are being made so that he can prove that he is not Putin's puppet. And it's leading us down a very dangerous path. So I've expressed these concerns to many of my Democratic colleagues who, for example, who've asked me to sign on to letters or statements or bills or things that say, hey, we are at war with Russia and Trump is doing this and Trump is doing that. I talk to them about what those words actually mean and the impact, that this is a serious thing. If you're talking about us being at war with the other major nuclear armed country in the world.
Or under attack is something that they say a lot.
That's a common phrase that's used. Look, there are issues that we have with Russia or Russia has with us. We've got to be able to work out those issues and those differences. But further isolating Russia, further shutting down lines of communication, and the actions that are being taken to escalate these tensions are all things that make our country less safe and make the world less safe, given the nuclear implications involved. So yes, there are Democrats who are responsible for this, who are not taking seriously the implications of a lot of the rhetoric that's being used. There are a lot in the media who are responsible for this because they are doing things and saying things that are further deepening the divide and further heightening these tensions, throwing around words without interest on what those consequences are, or really what the facts are. And this is why with the Mueller report, let's see what the report says.
But there's been so much speculation and these speculative games that have been going on for so long. It's around. It's sucked up so much energy. And you mentioned media figures. Like, I want to be specific. I want to name one in particular, not because I have any particular animus toward her, but she's a very popular cable media host, Rachel Maddow. People look to this person who's very intelligent, very capable, for wisdom and guidance. And almost every single night for a long time now, 2+ years, she's been pushing the most maximalist conspiracy interpretation of Trump-Russia, and a lot of people have gotten just blinkered by it and very emotionally invested in it, to the point where I find it sad for them that they become so invested.
Yeah.
I don't know. How do you deal with that?
Well, I think
How do you impose accountability for that?
I mean, we've got it by doing things like what we're doing, by really speaking out and pushing the truth about the consequences of the current situation and how it threatens us.
Right.
We have to we have to counter that narrative that is coming at us from all directions by pushing to the forefront the interests of people. We talked about this briefly the other day about how so much of the kind of mainstream narrative has been consumed by Trump and Russia, that the very real challenges and things that are affecting and on the minds of people in this country are not being paid any mind, are not getting the attention that they need, nor is their attention being paid, like I said, to the consequences of this heightened rhetoric, of how it is taking us closer and closer to the brink of nuclear catastrophe, and how Trump is countering it, how he is reacting, how he is trying to prove his strength and toughness and independence by doing things like withdrawing from the INF treaty.
Right. And, this has been going on a long time, meaning Trump actually contradicting his own campaign rhetoric and taking increasingly belligerent steps to, demonstrate his toughness, quote unquote, toward Russia. But after that had been going on for 2 years, Nancy Pelosi, and I don't want to put you in an awkward position of denouncing Nancy Pelosi, right? That's not the point of this. But, a couple weeks ago, I think in January, she, put out a tweet to the effect of, what does Putin have on Donald Trump? As if like she's suggesting that Putin's actively blackmailing Trump and thereby surreptitiously directing U.S. foreign policy. And there's just no evidence for that when you look at what Trump's actually done, whether it's Ukraine, Syria, Venezuela, all actions where he's run counter to Putin's interests. Yeah. So how have your colleagues reacted when you've raised those concerns with them?
Look, some have been dismissive, and I think others really don't care to take the time to understand the implications, which is just unfortunate. This is something that impacts all of us, and that has long-standing negative consequences. I think what is at the heart of this, whether you're talking about politicians, you're talking about figures in the media, it is that drive for higher ratings or more clicks on social media that end up dividing us, that end up causing more problems in this country, making us less safe, without keeping in mind what are the facts, what are the evidence, and what actions do we need to take to address the very real and urgent pressing needs of the people in this country. This is why I talk over and over and over again about how disconnected Washington is from reality, from the reality of the lives that we live every day all across this country, and how important it is that we take action to put people ahead of these partisan politics, to put people ahead of this push for higher profits or more power or more influence. This is one of many examples of what's wrong with our politics and what's wrong with Washington today.